when you tell China it'll cost so much to do something, they don't come out with a different answer. Mm-hmm. When engineers talk to each other, the language is not subject to interpretation. Otherwise, you couldn't build bridges. I think your structure meant this. Oh, no, the structure should be this thick. No, you can't do that. In science, technology, mathematics, chemistry, pharmacology, all that language is not subject to interpretation. When a doctor prints a prescription, no matter where you take it, the pharmacist does not interpret that his own way. So it's possible, to trying to prove to you, it's possible to develop a language not subject to interpretation. The everyday language used by people has argument in it, it has confusion. That's why you have to go to a psychologist or a counselor, because your language is not clear. Because when you say something, I interpret what you say, goes through my head and comes out different. And he says, I never said that. Oh, so yes, you did. See, so that doesn't happen in mathematics, technology, banking, money, chemistry. So I'm just saying it's the old language. Now, any psychologist that would adjust you to this system has to be stupid or a victim of this system. A psychiatrist also tries to adjust you to this system, which is completely fouled up. So I'm trying to tell you something. Your schools, your social institutions, your universities, your commercial radio and television are all operated, 90% of them anyway, by the monetary system. So you don't get truth anywhere. There's a person comes to see me sometimes and says, I'm a truth seeker. You'll hear that time and time again. In order to seek the truth, you'd have to know everything. How would you know what you're seeing is true or not? You have to be smart beyond description. So there's no such thing as a truth seeker. Then there's a person that says, well, Jacque, you're a utopia. You want to build utopia. There's no such thing as utopia. Any city that's designed today will be improved tomorrow. There's no final frontiers. You can't design the best laptop. Because next year it'll do more. Today most cameras don't have film. They have solid state systems. So what will the future be like? No one really knows the detail of the future. But it'll never arrive at the ideal society. It's like saying, design the best television set. You can only design the best television set up to now with what you know. Mm-hmm. But the person talks about final frontiers. That's stupid. They also talk about intelligence. There's no such thing. An intelligent electrical engineer of 75 years ago couldn't get a job today. So what you call intelligence then is not intelligence now. So intelligence is an ongoing process. The more you learn as time goes on, you never get there. Is that clear? You can't design the best of anything. Then they tell you at least we're civilized. No way. It's an ongoing process. A civilized country would not have war, crime, prisons, police. All those are byproducts of an insufficient culture. An insufficient culture makes laws. All man-made laws, I should say most of them, are worthless. When we sign treaties with other countries, if that treaty doesn't serve our interest, we will violate it. So treaties and laws are attempts made to control human behavior. The only laws that really count is natural law. If you don't eat nutritious food, get enough sleep, no matter what your philosophy is, you get sick. So if you have a population larger than that which the area can support, you'll have starvation and territorial disputes. As long as you have a population that coincides with the carrying capacity of the earth, you'll be able to get on. As long as you use science and technology and make all its findings available without patents, free of charge, to all the nations of the world. When you own patents on nutrition, drugs, medical devices, you hurt people. So the future, every human being will live very well. I'm not talking about a handout society. I think that What the Venus Project proposes is a society where everyone will live better than the wealthiest people today. Everyone. Now, is that possible? Let me give you an example. The middle-class American today, or the middle-class person in any advanced society, lives better than kings. They have air conditioning in their car. They have communications in their car, telephones. They fly and fly. Even the Arabs used to think of a magic carpet. The guy sat on the couch and they flew around. They thought that was fantastic. But they never told you when it rained, the carpet got soaked, and everybody got wet, or you had to go to the washroom. What did you do in the magic carpet? Now you have airplanes with television in the airplanes. Even the magic carpet was considered, oh, that's too far out. Nothing's too far out. Anything a person can conceive of can be built. So you have to, instead of making soldiers, which are killing machines, I hope I'm getting to a lot of soldiers. They are killing machines. We would educate soldiers to become problem solvers. Send them to universities free of charge, so they learn how to solve problems rather than kill. When you kill, you build hatred for the future. You kill children, you killed adults, and that nation that you did all the killing in doesn't have pleasant associations with our nation. The Jewish and Arab situation, Palestinian problem will go on and on and on until the earth is declared common heritage. And all the artificial boundaries that separate people will be dissolved. And when all people are brought up together, then you have the brotherhood of humanity.
Do you think it's
when you're going to take an economic crash so that the public loses confidence in their leaders, but if they don't see our films, they wouldn't know which way to go. So we are offering a system, a sane system for all the world's people, a high standard of living. You cannot solve a problem in your country alone, like the technocrats want to develop America into a highly technical society. If the Russians and Chinese and the French do nuclear experiments, that air goes all over the world. Look, today America has 300 submarines. Each one has more destructive power than all the wars in history. How stupid can you be? Then you got a building in Washington called the Pentagon, comprised of super stupid people. They are men there, military people, who think in terms of defending the country. There is no way to defend the country. Really no way. Because we have radar, and yet these people hijacked airplanes and flew into the towers because they didn't have an air force. I lived and worked at Pearl Harbor years ago, and I went to see military intelligence. This is 10 years before the attack on Pearl Harbor. And I said, all the planes are in a row. You should stagger them. So they said, don't you think we know what we're doing? I said, no. And they said, well, we do. I then went to the FBI in Hawaii and said, my name is Fresco. All the airplanes are in a row at Pearl Harbor. Well, we got radar in there and everything else. I said, they can be picked off. They said, well, when they get past Wake Island, we know about it. What if they hit Wake and Pearl Harbor at the same time? The airplanes ought to be staggered. I'm telling this to the FBI, and they said, well, don't you think military intelligence knows what it's doing? I said, no. And they said, well, we do. There was no recording made of that. So I told Larry King once on a show, if you have an airbag in front of you and you get hit on the side, your head goes right through the glass. The whole inside has to be an airbag. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the way you solve problems. So instead of making killing machines, imagine what kind of world we would live in if we gave everybody a free college education, gave books to children free, and upgrade every child. You know that high school kids today hang out in malls? There's no place to go. There should be art centers, music centers, cultural centers, and we should give books to people for nothing.